Good morning, everybody, and welcome to IGTV. My name is Joseph Concannon, and with me today is Richard Horowitz, and we are talking about the Triangle Report. And let me just get myself in the view there. Okay, there we go. All right, we had a beginning our segments with Richard earlier on. Let me just turn down the house music here. All right, and Richard, say good morning.
Hi, good morning, Joe. How are you?
Not bad at all. It seems we've got great audio this morning, so that's good as well. All right, and Richard, we want to get into kind of like a follow up on that Triangle Report, right?
Oh, that's fine with me.
Yeah, sure. All right, so let's continue our conversation from last week about the report, and tell me, what are some of the things you'd like to add based on your previous comments?
Well, the first thing is that the report, for the report's findings are statistical in nature. They talk about numbers. They don't talk about the nature of the threats that these numbers represent. So we don't know if a plot that was thwarted would have killed one or two people or hundreds of people. We know about the Times Square bombing that was thwarted, that was estimated to be able to kill hundreds of people. But the report refers to 26 plots in 2010, and which were lowered to 20 plots in 2011, and as if that encompasses the entire picture. So we don't know. The report itself doesn't reflect the nature of the threat. In other words, how many people might have been killed by all of these plots?
Yeah, I imagine that the nature of some of these threats that are coming over could be far-reaching, and not only by the events themselves and the immediate impact to let's say 300 to 1,000 to maybe 3,000 square feet in any direction, but also just with the creation of fear and uncertainty in the various communities where these could have hit. So that impact alone, a little difficult to measure, but it could be catastrophic, as we saw here in New York City, during 9/11. People were really at fear.
Yeah, another thing that's difficult to measure is were all these plots to have taken place. Let's say all 20 of them have been successful. What effect would that have had on others who want to try to accomplish the same thing? That's not discussed or measured at all in these reports.
So when you say the nature of the threat, can you tell me how do you define that? The nature of the threat, just so our listeners can get an idea of how you look at it through your eyes.
What Islamic terrorists are trying to do is kill people. There are several types of objectives in terrorist attacks in general. You can assassinate individuals, mass casualties, property destruction, or kidnapping. And all attacks will generally fall into one of those four categories. Islamic terrorists want to kill people. They say so, and they try to do it. So when you have a statistical analysis which shows that there are far more terrorist attacks in other parts of the world than Islamic terrorism would cover. That again doesn't represent everything, because the nature of the threat of Islamic terrorism is not a function of how many other types of attacks could occur elsewhere. If the threat, let's just for theoretical purposes, the threat of Islamic terrorism is X. X is no less of a threat because there are more murder rate for political reasons goes up in another part of the world. If you look at terrorism internationally, you will find, for all practical purposes, what we refer to casually as international terrorism is domestic terrorism taking place in a foreign country. And Islamic terrorism, what we have are the perpetrators trying to carry out their acts in other parts of the world and trying to do so on a mass scale. So that threat isn't lowered because there are more kidnappings or drug murders in Mexico that rate of those incidents goes up.
All right, Richard. Thank you very much. And what we're going to do is we're going to get into right after we turn to a commercial. We're going to get into the impact of some of this. All right, where you actually discuss, 3 specific incidents. We'll get more into that when we return, just from a commercial break here. Ladies and gentlemen, we're on with Richard Horowitz, an accomplished attorney concentrating in corporate and international security matters. He is admitted into law in New York and the District Columbia, has passed the Israeli bar examinations. Mr. Horowitz is also a licensed private investigator and recognized expert in the areas of corporate intelligence, fraud, and internal investigations. Mr. Horowitz served in the Israeli Defense Forces for 6 years, attaining the rank of captain, where he researched and planned, implemented national security projects. He also pursued graduate and fellow studies in international relations at the New York University and Columbia University. We'll be returning right after these messages with Richard Horowitz. Stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back.